Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and we have a lot to cover this morning, let me tell you. We're going to start the program with a few updates. Well, first, a viewer comment, then some updates. We are going to get into, and this is really grown complex in a way, Donald Trump's visit, former President Trump's visit to McDonald's, where he worked the fries. There has now been backlash by the media, calling it a stunt, as if the former president was actually going to work for McDonald's and cameras just happened to be there. It's very confusing. We're going to show you, it's an overall look at the bias in the media, and I have other examples of that. We're going to take a look at both campaigns. We do have a couple of New York issues if we have the opportunity. First up, a message from a viewer. You know what would really have Democrat heads spinning? Perhaps in 2028, Vance for president and Kennedy vice president. Perhaps. I'm not sure what is, though he looks extremely healthy, I'm not sure what Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s age is. You? Not that, just out of pure curiosity, but thank you for that comment. Okay. Just as an update on the international front, Sinwar was preparing for his death, probably seeing it imminent, as Israel has been so effective when you look at something like the pager explosion. So he actually left advice for the terror group, as experts are warning that the war has, quote, just started. Sinwar told Hamas political leaders outside Gaza that Israel would push for a ceasefire and hostage negotiation deal after his death, but he demanded the group avoid any concessions, according to people familiar with the message. But it's as the New York Post editorial board has put it, and it's something that we knew. Terrorist killer Sinwar did not want peace, clearly, not once and not ever. New reporting reveals that as the hunt for him ramped up, this brutal killer gave orders that after his death, Hamas should refuse any concessions Israel might offer. Why? Because as he saw it, the high civilian casualties of the war increased Hamas's negotiation power against Israel. He also wanted the group to set up a presumably Iran-style leadership council to make sure Hamas never abandoned his monstrous tactics and philosophy. In other words, Hamas and its head never intended to stop the slaughter of their own people and hoped it would continue even after his death. If that shows you what Israel is dealing with, pure evil. But this was nothing new for Sinwar, as you are aware. Every mass civilian casualty he caused only sharpened his appetite for further Palestinian deaths. When the IDF secured his home compound late last year, the cowardly butcher, then safe underground, blathered that our fighters have shattered their army. As the war Sinwar refused to end, ground on into 2024, he blatantly told his fellow Hamas members that they should make no concession and to the demands of Arab peace negotiators. In March, he wrote in an internal Hamas communication that, quote, we have to move forward on the same path we started because Hamas was still winning in negotiations thanks to, unfortunately, U.S. pressure on Israel and domestic opposition in the Jewish state. Yes, when you had Biden, Harris, and leaders and as well as the media pushing for the end to this fight and for Israel not to win this war, he saw that as an opportunity. That is, he saw the Biden administration's hectoring of Israel as reason not to make peace. Keep that in mind when we talk about these negotiations. It was always apparent to anyone with functioning eyes and ears that Sinwar, Hamas, and their Iranian masters had no interest in ending the war. But now we have it in black and white. This should put paid to the leftists in America's shrieking for ceasefire now. That's a weird way of wording that. The terrorists they serve as fifth columnists for don't want that. Never did. The only ceasefire Hamas wants is for Israel to give up its entire statehood. This should reveal Joe Biden's policies as utterly bankrupt and stop the White House from making that same insane demand over and over. But don't hold your breath on that. Biden's already demanded that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu use Sinwar's death as, quote, an opportunity to seek a path to peace, end quote. How far will Washington run to cover up for these monsters? All evidence suggests it's as far as you can imagine, no matter how many innocents have to die. Also, in line with that, the Pentagon, bringing you a story, I brought this to you yesterday, the Pentagon is investigating whether the leaked Israeli plans for an Iran attack came from a hack or insider job. We mentioned yesterday this is one of the reasons why Israel has to keep everything close to the vest, has to keep America out of the loop, so to speak, because there can be no trust, unfortunately, in Israel's eyes, there can be no trust that America and American leaders won't leak the information, therefore really, obviously, ending their plans. And a prime example of that is, as I mentioned yesterday, the pagers. If word even somewhat got out, if there's even questions about the pagers, they all would have been destroyed, and it wouldn't have been as an effective attack as it was. The Defense Department is hunting for the source of the leaked Israeli plans to attack Iran, as the National Security Council called the breach unacceptable. Quote, I know the Department of Defense is investigating this, and I'm sure that as they work through that, they'll try to determine the manner in which they did become public, said National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. That is not supposed to happen, and it's unacceptable when it does, said Kirby. President Biden is, quote, actively monitoring the investigation and remains deeply concerned about any leakage, Kirby added. The papers were released over the weekend on Telegram by the account Middle East Spectre, and in a statement said it was unaware of any additional leaked classified U.S. documents and had no connection to the original source, which we assume to be a whistleblower within the U.S. Department of Defense. Military analysts such as Atlantic Council senior fellow Alex Plites have said the information proved the Jewish state's enemies with key insight into Israel's military capabilities. Has provided, I shouldn't have said proved, provided the Jewish state's enemies with key insights into Israel's military capabilities. Quote, this weekend's leak out of the U.S. assessment of Israel's readiness to conduct the attack was damaging because it provided the status of the readiness, but also what wasn't ready, and would allow an adversary to focus their intelligence collection on those elements. That it was dangerous and unhelpful. Yes, focus in on what you would deem the weaknesses. As the Defense Department works to uncover who leaked Israeli plans to attack Iran, the White House claimed to be confident that there will be no further surprise document dumps. Quote, we don't have any indication at this point that there's an expectation that there will be additional documents like this finding their way to the public domain. But Kirby, and that's Kirby, but you've got to ask the question, did you know that this one was coming, that this was going to be leaked? Now, it's as, again, and it's almost as if the New York Post watches, frankly speaking, I'd like to think that they do, saying, how in the world did top secret U.S. intel on Israel's military plans wind up on a pro-Iranian Telegram channel? Whether it was incompetence, hostile espionage, or an intentional leak, it was a blow to a U.S. ally caught in a multi-front war, with President Biden, Kamala Harris, and the rest of their administration constantly carping about Israel's tactics. Countries spy on their friends all the time, but sabotaging them, it's an important word, sabotaging them is another. The leaks include 2 top secret reports by the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency on Israel's plan to retaliate against Iran's missile attack this month. They detail the aircraft and munitions to be deployed, as well as military exercises that appear to be training for the strike. Good news. The reports don't flag potential targets or definitively predict the scale and scope of a strike. Bad news. It's not clear how much more info leaked and could become public or simply wind up in Tehran's hands, potentially doing far more damage. It's near certain the leaks came from somewhere in the administration. This top secret info originated at a U.S. intel agency and looks to be nothing that would legitimately be shared outside the United States government. And at least one top Harris Biden official, now suspended Iran special convoy Robert Malley, is thought to have stored classified material on his personal email account and on his cell phone, where it was later accessed by hostile cyber actors. Plus, Malley has ties to a pro-Iran group, the Iran Experts Initiative, some of whose affiliates, such as Iranian Tabataei, continue to work in top posts where they might have access to classified documents. And anyone in this administration might leak thinking it could help Harris and Biden's goals. The White House, after all, is publicly fretting that Israel's coming response to Iran's recent massive ballistic missile attack might, quote, go too far. The White House has already been complaining about Jerusalem's failure to share its war plans. And can you blame them? But this scandal should guarantee the Harris-Biden folks learn even less. However, the leaks happened. Israel doesn't dare share sensitive information with Washington now, nor until the entire current administration is gone. Yeah, it can't be trusted. And it goes back to, that the pager explosion would not have been successful if we were given prior notice in the United States. Meaning leadership, not us specifically, leadership. And that's extremely unfortunate. Now Israel knows where their ally stands, what they're dealing with. I think it was always in the back of their mind. They always knew of this potential. I think in this instance, it just proved what they already knew. And now if we were going to learn anything about Israel's plan, I think those days are long gone. I have one other thing on this, and we got to take a break, but and then we got a couple other updates. We don't have time for this whole piece because it's heartbreaking and it's tragic, but there's a really fascinating piece, for lack of a better word, from Meredith Jacobs. And it's at the New York Post this morning, and it seems like I'm quoting a lot of posts, but I have a lot of other articles as well. But it's the tragedy of the Nova Festival survivor. That's the October 7th music festival where the terrorist attack took place. Well, a survivor, Sherelle Golan, took her life about a little after a year after that attack. She was suffering from PTSD, kind of the old survivors. What was that called? Survivor symptoms. But it also shows, according to Meredith Jacobs, the harm of online hate. On Sunday, her 22nd birthday, Sherelle Golan made the decision to end her life after struggling for a year with post-traumatic stress disorder. After surviving the massacre at the Nova Music Festival on October 7, 2023, she suffered from disassociation and withdrawal, her family said, and was twice hospitalized with acute symptoms of PTSD-related stress. The brutal atrocities committed that day, and specifically at the Nova Festival, were beyond imagination. How does anybody experience these horrors and move on? And the festival's survivors, in addition to the agony of witnessing their friends hunted down, tortured, raped, and murdered by terrorists, they face an online world that refuses to believe them. And unfortunately, we brought to you these stories in the past. Female hostages who have shared how they were sexually assaulted when in Hamas when they were taken by Hamas, captivity, have faced vicious denial and mockery on the internet. One testimony, Amit Susanna's, when she testified of what she went through, one comment said she is lying through her teeth and reading through a script. Other survivors see this. It makes healing, let alone sharing what happened, feel impossible. And that's why I don't want to go through all of this, because it gives it more and more examples of this. But survivors, that's the word I was looking for. Survivors' guilt is real and is compounded when everyday Israelis see online accounts that vilify their very existence and deny or even celebrate the atrocities that they have endured. And sadly, the celebrations we've seen happening in the streets in New York City and elsewhere. Look at for lack of a better word, yes, the celebrations on October 7th, the one-year anniversary in New York City. The evidence should speak for itself. But without addressing the issue of toxic and deadly online rhetoric, survivors everywhere will continue to suffer. I believe Israeli women And this belief and our commitment to support all survivors of sexual violence means we must never let what happened to them be denied or erased. A very powerful, that's the word I was looking for earlier, very powerful piece by Meredith Jacobs. But we have to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Isn't this important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app.
For the touchdown!
Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want.
To the end zone!
And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription. Grab
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all of your business and home security needs. Beautiful October 22nd morning here on Historic Market Street as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. Just a quick update. Trump has sent a letter to CBS demanding the full unedited 60 Minutes Harris transcript. This has been quite an ongoing controversy. CBS is hoping they can just get through the election, never have to release this for whatever reason. Now, there is precedent of them releasing transcripts in the past, but they seem to be taking a firm stance, even somehow accusing Trump of falsely discussing the edit when the edit was real. I mean, they had to admit that, but they said they did it to make it more succinct, which I asked the question yesterday, and this is going to tie in with more conversation we have throughout the morning about media bias. Do you think there is any chance that 60 Minutes would have cut a answer that Trump gave to make it more succinct if they thought the answer was rambling on or nonsensical? Do you think they would cut any interview to make Trump look better or more succinct? Well, in a copy of the letter that was reviewed by Fox News, legal counsel for former President Trump, Edward Andrew Palzik, said that CBS News, quote, intentionally misled the public by broadcasting a skillfully edited interview transcript aimed at causing confusion among the electorate regarding Vice President Kamala Harris's abilities, intelligence, and appeal. News organizations such as CBS have a responsibility to accurately represent the truth of events, not distort an interview to try and make their preferred candidate appear coherent and decisive, which Harris most certainly is not. Due to CBS's actions, the public cannot distinguish which Kamala Harris they are seeing, the candidate or the puppet of a behind-the-scenes editor. President Trump is rightly alleging that this is from... he continued. This is more in the letter. President Trump is rightly alleging that CBS's doctoring of Harris's answer on 60 Minutes was deceptive. The allegation is not simply that CBS was dishonest. It is that CBS deceived viewers into thinking Harris's answer was, at the very least, as CBS put it, more succinct than the word salad it actually was. The executives and producers at CBS and 60 Minutes, in particular, are unquestionably aware that the purpose behind editing the interview was to confuse the electorate and portray the vice president in a better light than a full, unedited transcript would reveal. Responsible news sources must be held accountable to the highest standards. We therefore demand that you immediately provide and publicly release a full, unedited transcript of the 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris. Additionally, in contemplation of possible litigation, yep, you heard that right, they are threatening a lawsuit or alluding to one. We demand that you preserve all communications and documents relating to this interview, together with any edits of the interview's content, and that you refrain from destroying any relevant communications or documents. Kindly confirm receipt of this letter within 48 hours and further confirm your intention to cooperate with these demands. Now, CBS has not made a comment on this. They did, as we mentioned yesterday, respond saying that we were trying to make it more succinct, so admitting exactly what they were doing, and at the same time then trying to take a knock at Trump by saying, but we offered him an interview. What do those two things have to do with each other? Okay, he turned down an interview with 60 Minutes. Well, I think now, can you blame him? Of course not. Never mind the biased moderators at CBS. That's one of the reasons why he didn't do the interview. But to then criticize him after they were caught with their hand in the cookie jar. I mean, that's how really cocky the mainstream media has become with their bias. Showing that clip on, I believe it was Meet the Press, was it? The full unedited clip. Realizing it was getting backlash, getting criticism, Harris's answer was, so they cut it down to be quote unquote more succinct, which they admit to in the main broadcast of 60 Minutes, the one that most people would be watching. It's disgusting, but they're right in your face with it at this point. So why, again, do they not release the full transcript? Precedent shows they released the full transcript of an interview once with CBS did with Trump. So why not release that interview if you have nothing to hide? Well, they're, like I said, folks, they're in your face about it. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, one more clear story about bias. Then we're going to get into the Harris campaign. I want to talk a little bit about this McDonald's backlash. The far left media, very upset that Donald Trump had the audacity to work at a McDonald's and have fun with people in the line and have fun with the employees. It's really quite strange. I would say nothing too shocking of a political event, really just kind of a fun political event, but calling it a stunt, and they're outraged. We're going to talk about it. Coming up a little bit later on, we're going to be talking with Dave DeGoyer. He's got the Days of Incandescence here on Marcus Street coming up, and we're going to learn all about that in the next hour. Listen to this lineup. Grab your calendar. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking with candidate for Chemung County Family Court, Brian Maggs, and keep in mind as I read these to you, it's never too early to send in your questions ahead of time if you have any questions. Now, judicial races are a little bit different on what I can ask, but please feel free. On Thursday, Mary Tarantelli. She's also running for Chemung County Family Court Judge. And then also on Thursday, we're going to hear about a local event, the Walk for Life campaign. We'll be finding out about that. Then on Friday, yes, it's Fridays with Phil. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano is going to be joining us on Friday. We'll also hear from Apple Ridge again because they have a health fair on that day. And then on Monday, now let me just say this. Some of these are subject to change as some things need to be moved around because of the campaign or because of the show. But Michaela Rossetti Azimi, who is running for Steuben County Court and Steuben County Family Court, will be joining us. I believe that's on Monday. Some of these are still got some moving pieces to it. Tuesday, Stacey Romeo, who's running for New York State Supreme Court in the 7th Judicial District, will be joining us. And then on Thursday, former Congressman, fan favorite, Joe Sempolinski. He's running for assembly. We're going to talk to him about the race as it nears. So that's next Thursday. Now, you notice there are a few gaps in there where we don't have a guest. Don't worry. That is changing. It's just that some of them aren't set in stone, and I don't like to pass along faulty information. Okay, so that's our schedule. Let's take a short break. When we come back, kind of an interesting admission from a longtime writer, reporter. That's when we come back. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
What if you never had to worry about what you could do? Because you could do anything. Anywhere could be the center of everywhere. The boundaries only existed to be pushed. So the only limit you faced was how big you could dream. What would you do then? Some pretty cool stuff, I bet. Yeah, that'd be some life. That'd be life unlimited.
Wanna know it's hard to stop a train? It's how we've invented products that reinvented our world. It's how we test as hard as the elements do. It's how we run.
Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning in Corning, New York is a local, veteran-owned and operated company with over 25 years experience. From service and repair to new installations. Trust the experts at Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you.
Our beautiful Boss Security roof cam. Contact Boss Security in Horseheads for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. One quick announcement. I know I mentioned all the candidates that we have set in stone thus far that are going to be on the program. We have others that we're in the works to talk with, but I wanted to pass this along to all of our friends in Chemung County that watch this show. Though you've heard from all three candidates for family court judge, and you will hear from all three of them again before Election Day, there is also an opportunity for you to have a meet and greet. It's tomorrow, and it'll be a question and answer session regarding the Chemung County Family Court judicial race. The event will be held from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. in the Elmira High School auditorium with attorney Matthew Buzzetti and the Honorable Mary Tarantelli in attendance. So that, again, tomorrow from 5:30 till 6:30 at the Elmira Heights, or the Elmira High School Auditorium. Very different. Elmira High School Auditorium. We'll remind you about that tomorrow as well. Okay. Just one last kind of, and there's going to be more examples throughout the morning, but one that specifically talks about media bias. And Jay Caspian Kang, he's a staff writer for The New Yorker. And he ascribed media bias not to a conspiracy among journalists, but to the fact that the overwhelming majority of journalists are left-leaning. He started this piece, a kind of an op-ed, and it was called How Biased is the Media Really? And he responded by addressing multiple common critiques from Americans on both sides. And this came after, if you recall, that poll I had for you last week that showed the overwhelming majority of Americans believe the media is biased and not trustworthy. Every news organization that feigns objectivity is actually heavily slanted towards the left. Not only that, the media is actively working with the Democrats to defeat Donald Trump. That was kind of the common critique. And this is his explanation. The most obvious explanation for this impression is that the press corps is mostly made up of liberals. At prestige outlets, many of which do don the armor of impartiality, the imbalance skews a lot further to the left than what many outsiders might imagine. So it might be even farther to the left than you imagine. He recalled, if you recall, we mentioned it as well back when Uri Berliner became a whistleblower at NPR. Remember saying how biased it was in the newsroom? Now, he says the effect of such politics on journalism is ultimately negligible compared with the effect of the fact that nearly everyone who works in the media are college-educated Democrat voters from middle to upper middle-class families. Quote, I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. In the course of listen to this. Hold on, I want to start this again. I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. In the course of a 15-year career that has included stints at radio shows, print outlets, digital media, and television, I have yet to meet a Trump supporter at work. So he's just telling you, I mean, he's not denying the fact. He has worked for 15 years in media and has yet to meet a single Trump supporter at work. In a 2023 interview, A.G. Sulzberger, the publisher of the New York Times, said almost everyone who works at the New York Times lives in the big city and graduated from college. That alone makes our staff unrepresentative. It means that we're going to under-index in gun ownership, under-index in church attendance. It's difficult to believe that a press corps, mostly made up of one type of person who votes one type of way, would not be influenced by both their prior beliefs and their gaps in knowledge. And indeed, the Times, which bears the brunt of media criticism across all political spectrums, has, nor do they have a columnist or editorial writer who openly supports Trump. Think about that. The situation is largely the same at the big network news shows and most newspapers. So yes, there is a liberal bias to the news in that piece of how biased is the media really. Yes, not a single Trump supporter, and that's why you see the cockiness, like we mentioned with CBS, of showing the full unedited answer in one clip and then realizing, oh, that doesn't look good for Harris. When we actually broadcast on 60 Minutes, we'll cut it up, make her look more succinct. Or that's why when you have one of the moderators during the debate say, oh no, we practiced fact-checking just Trump to make sure that we could really help Harris because they didn't want to see a repeat of what Biden did with missed opportunities and leaving opportunities on the table to attack Trump or to tout his own record. So they want to be prepared to help Harris. She did not deny that. She came out and said it as a badge of honor. So the bias is real. It's very clear. And that's why the polling shows yet again, as we mentioned last week, that the American people do not trust the media. We'll have examples of that when it comes to the McDonald's story of all things. We'll show you bias there. We'll show you some of the bias when we're talking about the campaign. So yes, there is no denying it. You can't go to a work environment where every single person supports Harris and not expect a bias there. And that's happening at the networks, and they're in that bubble. So they don't understand Trump supporters. They don't understand people that want to own guns, the kind of the bitter clinger idea. Their Bibles and guns, right? They don't understand. They can't understand it. And so obviously their reporting, quote unquote reporting, is going to be biased. And now, because they live in that bubble, they don't even see the problem with admitting that they're fact checking or admitting that they edited an answer from Vice President Harris to make her sound more succinct. That's really why there's such a loss of trust in the media. And it comes as no surprise. I would say the only thing that was surprising is that the numbers were as high as they were, and yet they were below even Congress and the Senate. People trusted the House of Representatives and the Senate, Congress, more than they did the media. Keep that in mind. It should be a red flag, but unfortunately, it is not. They see it as, I guess, what you'd call a winning formula, or that the cost in the long run when it comes to less advertisement, those type of things, doesn't matter to them as long as at the end of the day they get to push their agenda. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about the campaigns, how they're going. I seem to have more about Trump's campaign this morning than Harris's, but there are a few things to hit on here with Harris. We also have, we got a lot to talk about. We are going to hear about the Days of Incandescence here at in the Gaffer District, and that is coming up this weekend in Riverfront Park. We'll find out all about that in the 7 o'clock hour, so stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
Attention, Elmaron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmaron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmaron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmaron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Isn't your most important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's hot tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Now there's a product that sears food, stirs it, even shreds it for you. Introducing the PowerXL StirMax Multi-Cooker with a built-in auto stirrer that gives you the freedom of adding your ingredients and walking away and coming back to meals that cook up to 60% faster. No more stirring food. StirMax technology automatically rotates the paddle clockwise, then counterclockwise, so it stirs it for you. Powerful enough to even shred food. Then the 7.5 quart pot goes right to the table to serve. With a premium ceramic coating, nothing sticks. And it's dishwasher safe. Now you can try the PowerXL StirMax Multi-Cooker with lid and recipe guide in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. You also get the steamer and rice basket for healthy meals, StirMax serving spoon that snaps in place for easy serving, and $100 in free grocery coupons. We'll even ship your order all absolutely free. This is an exclusive TV-only offer, so order now.
I'm Nancy O'Dell. This is Crime Expose.
It's chilling, taunting.
We knew exactly who it was.
Blood stains on her shorts.
See you in September.
The Boss Security Roof Cam. Thank you to Boss Security. Contact them for all of your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking, as we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street. A comment from Ken, a very good point. The chance that CBS, a member of the legacy media and part of the operable wing of the Democrat Party, would worry about a lawsuit from Trump is laughable. Yes, they're not concerned. This is more, I believe, Trump's campaign just trying to continue to pound on that message of the bias, but continuing. But they would definitely be worried, meaning CBS, about retaliation from the Democrats if they release the unedited transcript prior to the election. I agree. That's why they're keeping their head down until after the election. Then it'll be a non-story any longer. So yes, CBS is not worried. The fact that even in their cockiness released a statement that was critical of Trump not visiting 60 Minutes, which I think this proves why he shouldn't, right? One of the many reasons why it proves why he shouldn't. But release that criticizing Trump for not being on the show and coming right out with it, that they cut it to be succinct and to give them more time to ask questions, allegedly. Okay, so the Harris-Biden administration has extended student loan repayment freeze that impacts 8 million borrowers. Yes, right around election time. This comes as no surprise. We had the story for you, last week or the week before with the school loan vote buying scheme. The Harris-Biden administration extended a moratorium on Monday on federal student loan repayments pending the outcome of legal challenges against the debt cancellation plan. Roughly 8 million borrowers enrolled in the administration's Saving on a Valuable Education plan, and it will be excused from making monthly payments for at least another 6 months under the extension. President Biden's $475 billion loan forgiveness push was temporarily blocked by the St. Louis-based 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in July, following an earlier ruling by federal judges in Kansas and Missouri, amid a lawsuit filed by 7 Republican-led states. The Harris-Biden administration has already canceled $5.5 billion in student loan debt before the preliminary injunctions. The SAVE plan was unveiled last August after an earlier debt cancellation effort costing taxpayers up to $430 billion was struck down by the Supreme Court. And Biden has really, and Harris to the point, have been laughing about ignoring the Supreme Court's decision. What did Joe Biden say that time? Something like, they tried to stop me. Look out. Good luck. Something like that. Critics, again, showing the threat to our institutions. But critics of the administration's latest student loan gambit, including congressional Republicans, have described the plan as a brazen attempt to buy votes in an election year. Well, of course it is. I mean, this announcement comes in October. Now, Kamala Harris did have, and I don't know if anybody watched it, she did have a town hall hosted by Maria Shriver yesterday. Former California First Lady and journalist Maria Shriver revealed, and this is one of the problems, because let's go back, when Harris has had to give interviews like at Fox News where they're tough questions but fair, or where there's follow-up, not just allowing her to skirt the issue. She doesn't handle it. She gets somewhat angry. When she was speaking to Univision, she finally got a tough question about ousting Biden that no journalist would ask. So Maria Shriver, seeing what could be a real problem to Harris at this town hall, if there are tough questions, if there's any kind of pushback. So what do? They only had predetermined questions for the vice president. That's the kind of town hall you want to go to. We have some predetermined questions, said Maria Shriver. Are we going to be able to ask a question? A woman attending the Oakland County event asked Shriver, ahead of Harris taking the stage with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Shriver shut her down, saying, "You are not, unfortunately. We have predetermined questions." So think of that. You go to a town hall, which town halls kind of by definition are supposed to be the conversation with the candidate. So before the event starts, I guess there were some questions asked. Someone from the audience says, hey, are we going to be able to ask Harris some questions? And Maria Shriver says, you're not, unfortunately. Well, why is it unfortunate? Then just do it. Who's making that decision? Is it the Harris campaign? It must not be Maria Shriver. And her, I don't know who she was there with, unless she was maybe just there by herself hosting it. You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions. Well, where did the predetermined questions come from? Not the members of the town hall, for heaven's sakes? Video of Shriver's response to the woman quickly went viral on social media, with several users slamming the event as a Harris campaign production rather than a genuine town hall. Yeah, you can no longer call that a town hall. Town halls are where voters are typically allowed to ask presidential candidates unscripted questions. So we're not even sure if these questions, and it sounds more to me that the predetermined questions didn't come from even members of the town hall. That's not a town hall, said one ex-user. That's called a stage production. And again, it proves that the vice president is incapable of off the cuff. Another ex-user referred to the event, which was packed with canned lines and talking points, as a prepped answer show. Basically, it's a pep rally. Former Trump White House aide Chad Gilmartin argued that when it comes to Harris, quote, everything is scripted and nothing will change. They're not even hiding it anymore, folks. Could not be more scripted than predetermined questions, meaning predetermined answers. Now, the big takeaway from this, of course, to the media and to Harris's campaign is they wanted the opportunity, for whatever reason, to have Liz Cheney out there to show Liz Cheney support. And Liz Cheney eats this up. I mean, I think it's one of the reasons why she took an even stronger stance. It came right out and endorsed Harris, had her father endorse Harris, because she, for whatever reason, craves that attention, craves that pat on the back from people who at one time said horrible and despicable things about not just her, but even worse so about her father. Shriver said, today I bore witness to what coming together for the good of the country looks like. Country over party. Yeah, I'd love to know who decided, who wrote the predetermined questions. If it was Harris's staff, then this is just predetermined answers. So when you go to a town hall, do you normally plan on being boxed out and not allowed to ask questions? Not everybody gets to ask a question. We get that. But the whole town hall format is that you get an opportunity, if you're lucky enough time-wise, to ask a question from the presidential candidate, or if you wanted to, Liz Cheney. Also, I know we've talked about this in the past. What is your thoughts about Liz Cheney? Am I just overthinking it? I don't think there's any oomph there. I know what the idea is, and there's a piece, I think it was from CNN, where her job is to be there, by Stephen Collinson, quote, to give GOP women permission to vote for Harris. That's a really weird way, in my opinion, of wording that. Are there a lot of people sitting by their televisions or going to rallies or going to a town hall where they can't ask a question, just waiting for Liz Cheney to give them permission? And why Liz Cheney? That's confusing to me. It wasn't as if she was some up-and-coming star in the Republican Party before all this. The only reason she's got the attention is because she came out to badmouth Republicans, which is typically the case. You see it with Chris Christie, you see it with Mitt Romney, et cetera, et cetera. It's a story as old as time, unfortunately, within the Republican Party. But is Liz Cheney a deciding factor at all? I just can't imagine any, in this case, according to this piece, any woman is out there saying, I wonder, well, if Liz Cheney says it's okay, I'm going to do it. So how Liz Cheney tried to give GOP women permission to vote for Harris. Yes, I guess she did 3 events yesterday for Harris. Okay. Now, as Trump wrote on True Social, Dick Cheney is an irrelevant rhino along with his daughter, talking about their support for endless nonsensical wars that wasted lives and cost trillions of dollars. Ultimately, the ostracizing of the Cheneys from the Trump-era GOP points to the ex-president's extraordinary transformation of the party, says Stephen Collinson. And only one side of the Republican Party's family will be happy after the election. Okay. So, yes, Liz, were you waiting around? It doesn't matter what gender you are. Were you waiting around to hear Liz Cheney give you permission to vote for Harris? Did it change your mind? That's the question we'll pose today. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Have you been unable to work for over a year due to a mental or physical disability?
Were you recently denied Social Security disability benefits? Great news. You may be eligible for money, back pay, relief.
If you've been pre-qualified and diagnosed with a recognized condition that prohibits you from working, our lawyers can file a claim to get your disability benefit.
Call us today and find out more.
Call now, 844-617-0440.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, mold, and more. Take it in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud, or outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. Get your Ruby Horsepower with 4 additional attachments, all for just $39.99. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. Due to high demand, only 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-980-2344. That's 1-800-980-2344, or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-980-2344.
Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thanks for joining us this morning. Okay, so we've got a few other things here about Harris's campaign, kind of a back and forth of what the future looks like for her leading up to November 5th. CNN puts it that a jittery campaign makes big plans to clinch a narrow win. And basically what this piece boils down to is their thoughts are, yes, people aren't happy with where the country is. Poll after poll shows that. That's not good for Harris. So what they're hoping for are kind of the outlandish comments from Trump, the lewd comments, whatever the case may be, and that they can focus on that. Because remember, at the end of the day, it's all about focusing on it, not Trump. voting for not Trump than it is for voting for Harris. And they have someone else that's saying that. It's not just me. So getting Americans to focus on what Trump is saying, not the kind of the outlandish remarks, for lack of a better term, over the next 2 weeks, to see a second Trump term as taking the country further off track and to view Harris as an acceptable agent of change is likely to decide the presidency. A dozen top aides and outside allies told CNN. As Harris's campaign chair, Jen O'Malley Dillon, told top donors in Philadelphia, they may not believe that the race could still be tied, but in the battleground states where the presidency will be won, it is. Quote, historically, it would be unusual to have 7 states come down to a point or less, David Plouffe, Obama's campaign manager, said. But I think at this point, you have to assume that's a distinct possibility. Plouffe and other Harris advisors do not believe Trump's largely outsourced door knocking and other on-the-ground outreach operations can match what the National Democrats in the Harris campaign, which inherited some of the same team from President Joe Biden, spent a year putting together. But they believe this advantage can only take them so far. Democrats wish Donald Trump wouldn't get more than 46% of the vote, Plouffe said. That's not reality. He's going to get up to 48% in all these states. And so we just have to make sure we're hitting our win number, which depending on the state could be 50, could be 49.5. J.B. Pritzker said the goal is to make sure that you're motivating your operation, that you're being felt in all of these places. But if you're having a town hall where you want to show off Liz Cheney, whatever you think that is strategically wise, if that's a good move, and then you have predetermined questions, so the voters don't even get to ask the question because we know Harris is not good off script. It's so fascinating to me because you have a candidate that didn't have to primary for the job, which is how everything went down. Okay. But there are so many unanswered questions and she's not being forthcoming with it. At a time when there should be more scrutiny for just the way it all turned out, there's less scrutiny. The media is not demanding a press conference. The media is barely demanding interviews, and they're not demanding at all. They're hoping for interviews. They've accepted the fact that she's not going to give big interviews, that she's not going to give a press conference. And in what most situations would be somewhat of a scandal to take predetermined questions at a town hall, they are completely silent because, listen, if they were to report on that, meaning the mainstream media, it would prove yet again, it would continue to create that picture of Harris for what I think has been proven to be, which is that she doesn't do well off script. She needs her canned talking points, and in this case, canned questions. She needs that to just keep her, for like the term, keep her head down until Election Day, to just bring it into the barn. So she can't have tough questions coming from the audience, because if you look at Univision, there was at least that one good question about ousting of Biden and her not having the typical path to the nomination. So they don't want anything, especially this close out, just 2 weeks. They don't want anything that's going to help her stumble and fall or give one of those word salads or have a strange statement or some kind of statement that turns off American voters. Such as, that's a good segue, Kamala Harris singled out and humiliated 2 attendees at a rally recently. You probably saw that. Fox News has been reporting on it quite extensively. It was in Wisconsin. So she humiliated these 2 attendees for the crime of showing religious principles, even as she gave props to a pro-Hamas heckler at a different campaign stop. So what is going on, asked the New York Post editorial board, when Grant Beth and Luke Pulaski yelled out Christian slogans to express opposition to Harris's stance on abortion? She shot back saying, "You guys are at the wrong rally. I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street." Great zinger, Madam Vice President. You really showed them. This would be political malpractice at the best of times, literally telling voters to get lost. But Harris faces a coin-flipping re-election fight with a newly resurgent Donald Trump. All signs point to trouble for her with traditional Democrat voting blocs and across several swing states, including Wisconsin. We get that abortion is a central plank in the Democrat platform and that these kids were being disruptive. Understand that. But the vice president said, in effect, that if you don't align with her 100% on abortion, just go away. You shouldn't even think about voting for her. This after skipping the Al Smith dinner, a political gimme if ever there was one. In contrast, Harris is more than willing to entertain voters who, in theory anyway, oppose her position on Israel. At another Wisconsin campaign stop, a protester heckled her with lies about Israel committing genocide. Harris's telling comment on that was, what he's talking about, it's real. In other words, she's eager to welcome Israel haters into her coalition, but figures she can tell huge blocks of American voters, deplorables basically, to go pound salt, and somehow she thinks she can still win. Is this arrogance, ideological blindness, stupidity, all three? Harris will find out in a hair more than 2 weeks, well now 2 weeks, whether she made the right call, but we suspect she won't like the answer. So tying in with an off-the-cuff comment. Just piggybacking off of that. Let's take our last break of hour number 1, and then we'll get warmed up for hour number 2. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
So you're going about 60. Is that about right? Okay. And the airbags deployed?
As head of the state's largest motor vehicle accident firm, William Matar is always seeking to gain new insight from car crash experts to keep him at the top of his game.
And the neck is still sore?
Who ordered the Exoreezy? You single?
When we have the food we need, we are at our best. We push further. We rise higher. We unlock our full potential. When we are at our best, we have more to offer the world around us. When we have the food we need, we make our communities stronger. Together, we can help everyone get the food they need to thrive. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
The Boss Security Roof Cam. Give them a call today. Boss Security in Horseheads. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. We're broadcasting live from the Hasselson studio, wrapping up hour number 1. Let's go through some comments from viewers. First up, she's a joke. I'm not sure if that means Harris or Cheney. I turned the channel when I saw her. I'm not going to speculate who you meant there, but thank you. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning. Liz Cheney lost her 2022 primary by over 32% to a Trump-backed opponent. It looks like Harris isn't too picky about who she hangs out with. She shouldn't change a thing. And that's a great point. I think some of that with Liz Cheney, some of her hatred for Trump is a grudge because she did just so embarrassingly bad in her reelection campaign. There's a grudge. There's the attention-seeking side of it. There's sadly that being liked by who they deem the popular kids, those in the media, the ones that were so ruthless to her, but more ruthless to her father. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, she's useful, I guess Harris believes, to her campaign. They have a political statement about people that are useful in this way, but I won't repeat it. But yes, I think I don't see the upside for anybody in this scenario. Okay, another one. This was a call from a viewer, and what a great point, saying when you see these, the town hall like Harris has, even though it was predetermined questions, it wasn't a real town hall, but it's about strong women leaders, right? Well, the Republican Party, and specifically the Trump organization, has great, strong women leaders. And so this viewer saying, I love the Trump organization, and they just need to put out their powerful women. And so that it's not all one-sided, and they can show that they have strong women on their team with them. And the examples this viewer gives, first of all, of course, you have Trump's daughters, you have Melania, but also, and I could not agree with this viewer more, J.D. Vance's wife. Every time you see her speak, it's powerful. She does a great job. So yes, I would like to see more of that too. Maybe the same type of format, not with the predetermined questions, but in the same kind of context, showing the powerful women around the Trump team. So thank you for that comment. Now we are out of time for hour number 1 of Frankly Speaking. That means we have 1 hour left together. In that hour, we'll be talking with Dave DeGoyer. He'll be telling us about the Days of Incandescence celebration in Riverfront Park here in Corning. After that, it kind of starts going almost all political interviews from here on out, but there's a few others sprinkled in. So we'll keep promoting that later on. But right now, we got to take that break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking. Please don't go anywhere.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Isn't this important? Don't you want more energy? Now is the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I am your host, Frank Acom. Thanks for joining us for hour number 2. A quick announcement. Before we dive right back into the Harris campaign, we're going to talk a little bit about Trump's visit to McDonald's, which is making the media rounds again. But before that, our good friends at the Painted Post Food Pantry. You know, I visited the food pantry. I had some pictures for you at that time, and some of them, Phil Palmisano was there, and we had a really good time and learned about such an important organization. Well, a while ago, I think it was pre-summer, we would talk about their healthy and nutritional workshops. Well, they are back, folks. Would you like to learn more about eating a diet rich in whole plant foods to improve your health? Join the Painted Post Food Pantry for cooking demonstration and tasting by Mary Ellen Bunce, licensed Food for Life instructor and plant-based chef. So it is tomorrow, October the 23rd, from 10:30 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. And tomorrow's topic will be breakfast food. That sounds good. And that's at the United Church of Painted Post, 201 North Hamilton Street, of course, in Painted Post. Hope everybody can make it out to the Painted Post Food Pantry Health and Nutritional Workshop. Okay, got some messages. Oh, did you say Senate tonight? I see. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Ken. This is what Ken had to say. Unfortunately, there are low information voters in the Republican Party too. That's true. While she lost her House race by a huge margin, there are still about 50,000 people that voted for her in Wyoming. So if that many low information voters voted for her in Wyoming, knowing she was anti-Trump, there will be a lot of the same kind of voters voting the way she wants them to in the swing state. Perhaps, but I know they have her traveling to other states as well. I don't know. I just don't. Listen, it's one thing to vote for an incumbent for a House race. It's another thing to just blindly listen to them and take their suggestion when that person's asking you to completely switch your party. So there's a reason why they voted for her originally, which was most likely because she was a Republican and she talked the good talk sometimes. So do you, as a House member, do you end up blindly following her after? I don't know. It's not criticism of what you're saying, Ken. It's just, I think, I don't know. Is there a lot of House members that have that kind of loyalty and allegiance from past voters? I don't know. Democrat Representative Dean Phillips is slamming Kamala Harris for focusing on Trump instead of what she believes. And she's not the only one. Who was it? Bill Maher was critical over the weekend in the same sense. Dean Phillips criticized Vice President Harris for focusing on attacking former President Trump instead of being, quote, clear about what she believes. Yes, there's a lot of undecided voters that know nothing about her because there was no primary challenge. There was no debates. It was just, listen, and you'd like to think people know about their vice president. A lot of people probably didn't even know she was vice president. And that's not a knock on her. That's a knock on a lot of people don't know who the vice president is. Historically, it's like they don't know their congressperson, or they probably don't know their senators either, unfortunately. In the Post, Phillips, who previously ran as a candidate in the 2024 Democrat presidential primary, if you recall, before dropping out in March, wrote that Harris will have wasted $1 billion from losing voters by focusing more on condemning Trump. $1 billion will have been wasted on losing voters by condemnation versus winning them by invitation. That's a really nice line, actually. Let's read that again. $1 billion will have been wasted on losing voters by condemnation versus winning them by invitation. She just needed to be clear about what she believes, what she will do differently than Biden, and offer common sense solutions to our problems. Now, we know that's one thing, of course, she is doing. She's attacking Trump at every turn. But it's also interesting when you look at this quote. Again, she needs to be clear about what she believes, what she would do differently than Biden. She is not even clear if she wouldn't be different. I mean, the one line, and I think Bill Maher was very critical of it, saying you can't make unforced errors, when she said that she would have done nothing different than Biden. So are you like Biden? Then other times she tries to distance. It gets very confusing. New York Times Ross Sorkin was on Squawk Box on CNBC on yesterday. And he said, oftentimes she's asked about how different. She'll say, I'm going to be different than Biden. But she won't really explain what the difference is, or she'll be asked about what she would have done differently in the past, and she won't give you actual real examples. Or she'll be asked about things before, and she won't say, well, actually, I learned from this or that, and maybe we made mistakes, and actually that makes me a better candidate because of that. For whatever reason, inexplicably, at least to me, she doesn't. That is not the answer you hear. Oftentimes, it's actually an answer about how consistent she believes that her perspective has been the entire time. Yes, it is a very weird argument that she makes. When they ask about, especially some of the statements she made back when she was running for president back in 2019, they'll say, you've changed so much, you're different. And her answer, even though that change is clearly there, her answer oftentimes will be, we've been consistent in our belief. So New York Times Ross Sorkin has, I think, a good point throughout this quote, because she doesn't give an answer on how she would be different than Biden. She doesn't give an answer on why she's changed so much in the past few years on these supposed core beliefs. And when she is asked about it, oftentimes her answer is, I've been consistent, obviously, in her inconsistency. So that's what makes it very strange. But this is important, and this is why we try to give you all sides, keep you updated across the board, because it's not, like some of the programs, if you watch MSNBC, it's, everything's great, nothing's going to go wrong for Harris. You've got to be, no matter what party, cautiously optimistic. You have to keep working like you're down 20 points. And this is for Trump supporters out there. This is something to be mindful of. The FEC announced that Harris's campaign raised over triple what Trump campaign did in September. The Harris campaign raked in nearly $222 million in September, while Trump brought in almost $63 million. Now, we know that Harris was very early on hitting the $1 billion mark in her campaign, getting out $1 billion in donations, because again, we talked about on the program, never has an election been so influenced by a presidential election by big money in this way, because the big money is what helped push Joe Biden out by withholding donations to the campaign. And then, of course, big money came to the rescue when Harris got into the position when Biden endorsed her to run. They got in to push that momentum idea. Well, look at all this money coming in. She's got the momentum. This is who we wanted all along, even though we've been saying for the last 3.5 to 4 years that not only did we not want her to run for president in the future, they were even thinking of replacing her at the top, on the ticket, to make Biden more likable. But now, with the help of big money, they could push this idea of all the momentum and how much excitement and energy was behind her, or joy, or whatever term was popular popular of the day. But keep that in mind. Harris' campaign raked in nearly $222 million in September to Trump's $63 million. And you see pieces like this by the National Review, specifically Jim Garrity, saying the chronically underestimated Kamala Harris. I think the caricature of Kamala Harris as a bumbling dunce makes it easy to underestimate her, particularly in the closing weeks of an exceptionally close and high-stakes presidential campaign. Harris's past is littered with older and more experienced men who saw her as easy pickings and came up short on Election Day. That is the crux of this argument by Jim Garrity. Now, I don't agree with this whole piece, but what I will say, it's never good to underestimate someone, especially in her instance. Look at what a unique career she's had, where she loses the race, well, doesn't even make it to one day of primary voting, but ran for president back in 2019, didn't make it to 2020. Her biggest claim to fame was calling her now boss essentially a bigot. Even though she did that, and then saying later, well, it's a debate, meaning you can say anything during a debate, I guess. So she gets the nod, even after all that, to be VP. Not a lot of people happy with the pick, but kind of who Biden had to go with. And now you see not having to run for president, but being the nominee. It's a unique experience. That's why I've said numerous times that I think there should be more scrutiny on her by the media, more scrutiny by the voters. The media thinks otherwise. But it's never good to underestimate a political opponent. Now, off the cuff, she serves up some stinkers, he says. Since she was handed the Democrat Party's nomination without any competition, even her prepared remarks have been mostly fluff. She still demonstrates the political instincts of a lawmaker shaped by the far-left politicians of San Francisco, oblivious to what constitutes the political center in swing state America. In just the past week, she skipped the Al Smith dinner, told a heckler shouting, "Jesus is Lord," that he's at the wrong rally, and responded to another heckler who accused her of billions of dollars invested in genocide in Israel, that what he's talking about is real. And so that's not the subject I came to discuss today, but it's real and I respect your voice. So off the cuff, not good. And that's why who was it? Peggy Noonan, who I brought you that piece last week saying, you know, why is she making it so hard for Republicans that may want to vote for her? Meaning, can't she concede a little bit? Can't she give in on a couple things or lessen, when she's talking about certain issues, concede a little bit? Because what the argument is that Republicans are being forced to bend over backwards to vote for her because there's so many things that they wouldn't like, when all she had to do is be more moderate. Just another giving you all the opinion pieces of the day. But there is this nagging complication. If Kamala Harris is as stupid as her critics claim, why does she have the Democratic presidential nomination and a roughly 50-50 shot of being the first female president in U.S. history? Do you know how many ruthlessly ambitious Democrat men and women have desperately yearned to get where she is? How many smart, tough, shrewd, often underhanded and cold-blooded politicians have tried to claw their way up the greasy pole and fallen short? And somehow the supposed dunce managed to do it. The record indicates that whatever Harris's results are on an IQ test or other measures of intellect, she is particularly talented by another measuring stick, one that may be even more important in politics. She's exceptionally skilled at getting other people emotionally invested in her success. That's the crux of the argument this morning from the National Review. I think it's always a smart lesson to not underestimate your opponent. I don't think Trump and his supporters are doing that, but I do think it's hard to ignore or hard to take away. It's hard to take away from. Sorry, I get sometimes distracted by comments. It's hard to take away from the off-the-cuff remarks that are not good. I mean, those ones that we just mentioned right there within the last couple days. The interviews that aren't scripted, that don't go well. But that doesn't, to the people that are never going to vote for Trump, that's already locked in. That's the base. But does she do enough, according to this piece, to get people emotionally invested in her success? Maybe making the argument that's why Biden put her in as VP and then nominated her, essentially, or endorsed her to be president. Just something that, though I may not agree with it, it's fun playing the mental mind games. I see so many comments coming in, so let me take a break. We got another segment coming up. Then after that, Dave DeGoyer, and we're going to talk about the days of incandescence here on or here in the Gaffer District. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Trick or treat time is here, and Big Fox TV has some tips to keep our kids safe. Wear bright, reflective, flame-resistant costumes and remove any tripping hazards. Travel in groups and review traffic safety. Check outdoor lights and carry a flashlight. Never go into a house or car for candy, and let your parents check your treats. This reminder is brought to you by your caring friends at Tom's South Corning Collision, Cutler's Carpet and Flooring, Shedden's Wholesale, Suburban Propane, and Big Fox TV.
Oh, better tasting is better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
If you've won regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
I'm Nancy O'Dell. This is Crime Expose.
It's chilling, taunting.
We knew exactly who it was.
Blood stains on her shorts.
See you in September.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam is brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. We have so many comments from viewers. Let's start. Can't we use some influence to get Trump close to this area so that we can show our support for him? I mean, he goes, this viewer says, everyone I know out in the hills has Trump signs all over the place. They're deer hunters. They're people that are and have skills. It's truck drivers and farmers. And you wouldn't believe the backing out in the hills in Steuben County as well as other counties. Yes, I understand. And listen, this happened last time and in 2016. It would be great to have a Trump rally here. It would be in our general area. It would be huge turnout. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, he's got to focus on the swing states. And it would be nice to see him. I would focus on his website and see if he comes close in Pennsylvania. I think that's our only chance this go around. And that's just strategy. I mean, the people that you mentioned support Trump, and that's not going to change. And it's also, unfortunately, the numbers aren't going to change. And I hope you can prove me wrong election night. It's not going to change New York State. Now, I know he's giving the rally at Madison Square Garden right before the election. I believe that's about the media's coverage of him and how much attention that'll get. I know it'd be nice. It'd be nice if it happened, maybe even if he were to win re-election or, win presidency again, maybe then. But I definitely not now within 2 weeks of Election Day do I see a rally in our area. And I know that's unfortunate. But you kind of have to go to the areas where you have the swing voters that you could perhaps convince. But I think I totally understand your point. Next up, another comment. I noticed that the donations that scroll across the bottom of the screen on Trump's website are the very low amounts, 50 cents, $1, stuff like that. I'm thinking it would cost $4 just to process each donations. I'm wondering if it's an intentional way to deplete it. I am not familiar with what you're saying. I didn't know his website had that. That's interesting. So it shows you how much someone gave? Really? Okay. And okay. I did. Yeah, that could be. It could be a trick by somebody, because if it does cost now, but do you get charged the $4 processing, or does a Trump campaign eat the $4? I guess that'd be my question. All right, next up, comment from a viewer, different viewer. He's a pig, Frank, and I believe that means former President Trump. You know it. Where are your morals? Well, thank you. Thank you, viewer. That's always a good way to convince someone to go to your side. Let me rethink who I'll be voting for in November. Thanks for the point. Thanks to everybody tuning in. Next up, so good to see you at the GOP Gala. Yes, the gala was great on Saturday. 3 counties, Chemung, Steuben, Schuyler. It was good seeing a lot of people. Now, obviously, with this show, we see a lot of people being interviewed like that, but it's nice to be in a setting where it's not not preparing to ask questions. Yes, and it was great to see you too. I know we only got to talk for a second. And they had I love this, and this is so cool. Thank you for doing this, by the way. I went over and looked at it just like you suggested. It's the Let's Be Frank silent auction. There was a gift basket there, and it was entitled Let's Be Frank. I liked it. Thank you so much for that. And it was good to see you too, and it was good to see so many people at that event. Okay. Here we go. Let's go to McDonald's. This is an odd story. I thought it was neat. I'll be the first to admit I watched it on Sunday just to see how it went, because there was speculation that Trump was going to be at the fryer. And I just, sometimes it's nice not to just watch a rally from both parties, right? From both candidates, to have something a little bit different, a little bit not as cookie cutter, not with a town hall where there's predetermined questions like we saw with Harris yesterday. So it is nice to every once in a while have just a different type of political story. Well, McDonald's has wanted to clarify that the involvement in Trump's visit, they were involved with the approval process, but does not endorse him. The fast food giant wants to be unburdened by what has been. That's obviously Kamala Harris's line. In a message sent to employees and reviewed by the Associated Press, the company said a franchisee reached out to corporate after he learned that the GOP presidential candidate wanted to visit a Pennsylvania restaurant. McDonald's agreed to the event in Festerville, during which Trump worked the fry station and answered questions. The message also said McDonald's does not endorse candidates for elected office, and that remains true in this race for the next president. We are not red or blue. We are golden. I like that. That's a good way to get out of it. Now, a Pennsylvania mom who was served by Trump gave us a little inside look, or gave the New York Post a little inside look to what that exchange looked like. Niera Adderjic. She was kind of one of the more memorable drive-through users, saying, "Mr. President, please don't let the U.S. become Brazil, my native Brazil, please." And Trump responding, "We're going to make it better than ever, okay?" So they interviewed this young mother, saying, she said, "My parents were victims of Brazilian corruption, government corruption. My mom lost a pretty successful business almost 30 years ago, and that's the reason why we moved to the United States. I am very grateful for this country. I love this country, and I don't want to see this country become the corrupt sewage that Brazil is at this moment, where politicians do whatever they want with no accountability to the people." Now, she asked to attend the Trump campaign event, but had no idea that the former president would actually be in attendance until she heard other cars ahead of her cheering. "He looked us in the eyes. The way he communicated with us, the way he greeted my children in the back seat, it was incredible. My kids were saying, 'I can't believe I shook Donald Trump's hand. I'm not going to wash my hands for the next couple of days.' He was very genuine. He's a genuine man." Now, as I have mentioned, the media is attacking this as a stunt, which I think, okay, yeah. This is what J.D. Vance had to say about it. We're going to tell you a little bit more about the media's coverage after our interview. But J.D. Vance said the fact that these people are accusing him of a staged, managed thing. Of course, the president has to have security, because there have been 2 attempts on his life in the last 8 weeks. He can't just walk into a McDonald's and sign a W-9 and actually go on the payroll. That's just not how this works, especially given the security threats on his life. But look, he was interacting with the people. He was talking to the employees. He was giving people food. And he was just doing, I think, what he does best, which is just being among the people, talking to them about what they care about. He showed genuine interest in the employees and their lives and where they came from and what they're actually doing in their job. and that's something you can't stage and you can't fake. We're going to tell you a little bit about the media's coverage of this, but we do have our guests coming in. I see some more comments coming in as well. Thank you very much. As I mentioned, if you are just joining us, I don't really have a minute to do this, but just give you an idea of the upcoming schedule, and it is going to fill in even further. But tomorrow we'll be talking with Brian Maggs, running for Chemung County Family Court Judge. On Thursday, Mary Tarantelli, who's also running for Chemung County Family Court Judge. We're going to have on Thursday as well an update at a local organization putting on a walk for life. And on Friday, we'll talk with Apple Ridge about their upcoming health fair. And also, because it's Friday, it's Phil Fridays. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will join us on Friday. We always look forward to that. Monday, we'll be talking with Michaela Rossetti Azimi. She's running for Steuben County Court and Steuben County Family Court. Tuesday, and this may change. All these people are going to be on the show, but there's a couple of last-minute things, so I'm kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves here. But Stacey Romeo, who's running for Supreme Court, New York State Supreme Court in the 7th Judicial District, she's going to be joining us. And then on Thursday, and as you'll notice, there's a couple days missing there because that's, trust me, there's a lot more to fill in. But on Thursday, it's fan favorite, former Congressman, current candidate for Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. Okay, there we go. Let's take a break. Our next guest, Dave Goyer, will be telling us about Days of Incandescence here on Market Street. So stay with us.
Shedden's Halloween store is now open. Costumes, masks, makeup, wigs, and more. We have indoor and outdoor decorations that are spooktacular. Trick-or-treat candy and Halloween party supplies. We have it all. Make sure to check out our pumpkins, gourds, and beautiful mums. And don't miss our fall and Thanksgiving items, including briarwood doormats and flags. Open every day. Shedden's Halloween store.
Lease a brand new 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Limited all-wheel drive featuring power move and heated seats for only $369 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Subaru in
Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam is brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance, plus stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, I'd like to welcome back Dave. Dave, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's that time of year. How's the planning going for the Days of Incandescence?
Going well. A little intense, but good.
Yeah. How long do you start planning next year's event?
Since like a week or two after it's over, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, you're always adding new things. We're going to get to that, but you're always trying to expand it. But before we talk about that specifically, could you tell us what the Days of Incandescence is? Because I think a lot of people are unaware.
Yeah, the Days of Incandescence is a 3-day celebration, really, a 3-day event that celebrates Corning's role in making the first light bulbs for Thomas Edison.
Okay.
And they're apparently one of the shop boys in the factory was the one who actually blew the first bubble.
Okay.
And later 3 different men claimed to be that boy, so there's a little sense of mystery there. So we created an actual picture book story based on that factual event. And the picture book's called The Legend of the Gathers, and basically the whole event kind of came out of that.
All because of that.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
We started in 2018,
wondered.
and then 2018, 2019, then we paused until 2022,
Of course.
And then we've been bringing it back.
Well, and it's fun, especially this time of year, because it's very Halloween-esque,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's some of the new things that you have coming up. I thought we could talk about that. But what is new this year?
Well, 2 new things this year are, based on that picture book, we've had a local musician. We got a grant through the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes.
Oh, wow.
And we've hired this musician to create original music. So it's a world premiere at 171 Cedar Arts Center on Saturday the 26th from 3 to 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 members of the Orchestra of the Southern Finger Lakes, and then an instructor at Binghamton University and Ithaca College will be playing. So it's a cello, a violin, and a piano.
Oh, wow.
Trio will be playing this music. So that's, we're really excited about that.
Yeah. And I should mention that that's a free family-friendly concert called Phantoms of the Light. Phantoms of the Light, 3 to 4 on Saturday, and that's at 171 Cedar Arts.
Yep, and it is free and family-friendly, so we're excited. In addition to the original music, which is about 15 minutes, there's about a half an hour of classic Halloween, like from the TV show Wednesday, and stuff that people are going to be familiar with from popular movies as well as classics. And then the other really cool thing that we have that's new is we have the world record pumpkin carver. It's going to be coming to Centerway Square stage and going to be carving from 2:30 to 6:30, also on Saturday.
That's a lot of carving.
Yeah, 4 hours of carving.
How does one become a world record pumpkin carver?
That's a good question. I have to ask him. He's actually not. He's from around the Olean area, so he's not too far away. He's been on Food Network's Halloween Wars. Outrageous Pumpkins. He actually won. I believe he won Outrageous Pumpkins, was on Halloween Wars as a finalist. He's actually on right now, and the All-Star season that they have going on. I think it's season 14 of the Halloween Wars.
I had no idea there was that many seasons of Halloween Wars.
I didn't
His
either.
name's Eric Jones. You might also know him from the Buffalo Bills snow sculptures.
Yeah, he got some popularity, I think, in Sports Illustrated and elsewhere for carving those snow sculptures.
Now, he's going to be in Centerway Square, 2:30 to 6:30. Is he going to be carving different pumpkins throughout the event, or is there one main one?
As far as I understand, he's going to probably have 3 or 4 pumpkins and at least 1 or 2 very large pumpkins, giant ones, that he'll be carving for that 4-hour span. So he'll be carving, doing live carving. He loves interacting with kids and family. So again, it's free, it's family friendly. He's going to be right there on the stage, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
What's he going to do with the pumpkins when they're done?
Then we have to figure out what we're going to do with the pumpkins. They're going to be there for a little bit, probably on display. But
we're talking about the Days of Incandescent celebration. I always struggle with it. World record pumpkin carver, Eric Jones, from 2:30 till 6:30. But there's so many other things that have really become kind of a staple of this whole weekend. And like you said, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but the main focus is kind of Saturday, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, the main focus, it starts Thursday. We have guided walking tours with actors leading people around. And then the Arts Council has put together 2 days of cemetery tours, Thursday and Friday. They've already sold out. They tend to sell out pretty quickly. And then Friday is the Libations Crawl.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about that. What is that? The Archibald's Libations Crawl.
So Archibald is a character in the Legend of the Gather story.
Okay.
And so we've had the Libations Crawl the last couple years. Basically, there are 12 different shops, on Market Street that folks go in, and there's a winery, a brewery. We have a meadery this year.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be kind of interesting. A couple of distilleries. They go in and do a tasting. So, folks can go on our website. They can go to daysofincandescence.com. Or exploresteuben.com, and then find that information, sign up, get their tickets. They get a commemorative tasting glass.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot of fun. It's from 5 to 9 on Friday.
It goes without saying that's the adult part.
Yes, that's the adult trick-or-treating.
21
yes,
plus.
Sure.
But so you can go online to find out exactly, and you need to register for that.
You do need to register for that and get a ticket for that. And
Okay.
You need to be 21 or older as well.
And there's also, and this is such a staple now in Corning in general, which is the horse and wagon rides.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
It is, and it's I should have mentioned probably the Days of Incandescence. We've kind of tried to set Corning in 1880s Corning because that's right around the time frame, 1879, 1880. So this is kind of that vintage feel, and everything we have going on that day on Saturday is kind of lends itself to that. The day of the celebration event, which is from 4 to 8, we have stuff in Riverfront Park, but from 3 to 7, we have the horse and wagon rides, and they start right out in front of Old World Cafe, go up and down the street. And then the celebration event, we have a headless horseman, we have a juggler, a magician, we have blacksmithing demonstrations, as well as vendors who are kind of fit with that old world style of festival,
And there's going to be live music as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll have some folk music. Silver Lining is going to be playing. And they're pretty fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. And is this mostly then at the park, you said?
Yes.
Except for Centerway when they're carving the pumpkins. Do you encourage, I know you did in the past with the libations crawl, do you encourage people to dress up?
Yeah, we are. It's funny, last year we had, I'd say about a third of the people who came dressed in costume.
Oh, really?
And some of those costumes were better than the actors. we have about 15 actors throughout, Market Street on during the libations crawl at the different stops, and then we have them at the park. So there'll be people in the period costume, but we're encouraging people to come for both the libations crawl and the celebration event in costume, because it is part Victorian era history and part Halloween supernatural element, so we combine those two things.
And there's just so much to do, and it is fun for the whole family. Of course, as we mentioned, the libations crawl is 21 plus, but everything else is for the family, really. And this is one, I have a feeling this is going to get competitive, and that's the community jack-o'-lantern contest. Tell us about that.
Well, so we've encouraged the members of the community to pre-carve a jack-o'-lantern at home.
Okay.
We're asking them to use the LED tea lights so that, it's, friendly, so there's no flames or anything. And then bring them to the park at 5 o'clock and turn them in, and we'll line them up on the, underneath the trees.
Okay.
Make a beautiful display and make the park glow. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll announce winners. So there's 5 different not categories, but 5 different winners. It's going to be fan voted, so people can come and vote for their favorites.
Oh, that's great.
And there's the grand prize is $250. So we've upped it up a little bit this year, but we've encouraged people in the past, and they keep coming, with their, and then they can take their pumpkin home. That's the nice thing, because still got a few days for Halloween, so they can take the jack-o'-lantern back home.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this just seems to grow year after year, doesn't it? Get bigger and bigger?
Yeah, that's our intention. The hope, I think the hope one day is to just kind of transform all of downtown Corning for a couple days.
Sure.
And we're gradually working on doing that. Some of the folks that are part of the libations crawl, some of the folks that are vendors in the square, they get, they dress in costume as well. They really get into it. So
would you say last year had the most people dressing up?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, man.
And, I think last year that libations crawl, we had about 180 people. Like I said, about a third of them probably dressed up in costume. It was pretty cool.
That's impressive. I didn't realize it got that kind of numbers. Well, I think this is a reason of all these things that we're talking about. People cannot find out more, of course. I'm sure there's something I missed on your website. But there's a reason why Travel Pulse recently named this one of the best October events in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a unique small town thing. It's embracing local history but also world history.
Sure.
But also embracing the fun of Halloween, and we've got adults even like to dress up, right? So it's got an opportunity for people to come in costume, to just go have fun, and there's a variety of different components to it. There's quite a few pieces that all together really lend themselves to a lot of different ways to have fun.
Now, I didn't even ask, are you going to bring a jack-o'-lantern?
I may. I'm not very proficient at jack-o'-lantern carving. I have little triangle eyes, pretty lame.
Pretty rudimentary, yes.
Yeah.
Same with me, with me. So I don't even think I would bother to enter and let one of the experts do it.
Yeah.
What should people know, just before we go, if they've never been to the Days of Incandescence, what should they know just to be prepared?
I think it's, you've got to walk. So, I mean, the park is not that big, but we're going to have vendors all around the park.
Okay.
We're actually having a fire spinner this year, too, so that'll be fun.
Oh, wow.
But it's, so you're going to be standing up a majority of the time. There are some benches and stuff like that in the park, but there's not a lot of seating. So I think, just wear comfortable shoes. And
sure.
It looks like it might be cool this weekend, so probably dress warm. But other than that, just come and have a great time. Like I said, it's with there is a small fee for the horse and wagon rides, but the rest of it is, the event itself is free. There's vendors that sell merchandise and stuff. But.
Right. And on Saturday it's from 4 to 8 p.m.
Yep.
Again, free admission. Come out and have some fun. I'm excited about seeing the world record pumpkin cart.
Oh yeah, me too.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
it just really piqued my interest, and
yep.
I just think it's really unique that you guys try to look to expand and build every year and really create new experiences for for residents.
Yeah, we do.
Tourists.
And we're trying to make it something that tourists would be, say, hey, well, let's go for the weekend.
Right.
Because that's part of our mission. But also, we're trying to really employ local artists. So whether performing artists, visual artists, musicians. So we're really kind of trying to bring that level up every year as well.
So just before we go, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I didn't tell you that. Yes. What are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm looking forward to the music just because it's something completely new and it's based on the story that we created, so that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I think the pumpkin carver is going to be pretty spectacular.
Yeah, me
so
too.
hard to not like that. But we've got some really neat vendors this year. We've got some different vendors, so I think I think there might be some animals involved, so in the park, so people can come and look at them, and so I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Now, the world record pumpkin carver, Eric Jones. I'm looking forward to that. You're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
You're not letting him enter the jack-o'-lantern contest, are you?
No, I don't think we'll have. I think we'll have to cut, cut it off the professional level.
Yeah, it's not pro level carving. Well, Dave, thanks so much for being on the show. Best
Appreciate
of luck.
it.
I know you work hard on it, so thanks for doing this and being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
When we have the food we need, we are at our best. We push further. We rise higher. We unlock our full potential. When we are at our best, we have more to offer the world around us. When we have the food we need, we make our communities stronger. Together, we can help everyone get the food they need to thrive. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you again to Dave DeGoyer. As we talked about the days of incandescence here in the Market Street area, and this is a good point from a viewer. Brown Cigar Store, the only place from that time period still open. Very good point. Our friends at Brown Cigar Store. Okay, a couple other comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning. Perhaps the Harris campaign made a simple Halloween mistake. The L. Cheney they wanted was Lon Chaney, but could only get Liz. Remember Hillary claimed to talk to Eleanor Roosevelt's ghost? Happy Halloween. Yes, that's a good point. Lon Chaney, of course. What was it? Like the Man of 1,000 Faces? Something like that. Maybe that was the mix-up. Thank you for that point. Oh, and thank you for sending in the screenshot. I didn't realize you could make donations as little as $1.75 to Trump's campaign, but they have it, I guess, scrolling on the bottom there. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's some type of political behind-the-scenes thing try to cost Trump money? Good point. Morning, Frank. Well, hey, good morning. Just a comment regarding media bias. I advocate that people start fact-checking the reporting person responsible for presenting this or that report, no matter if a news anchor, newspaper reporter, and so on. Get their email address and tell them. Write to them. And if you're feeling energetic, organize a protest. Thank you for that. We're back to the McDonald's. I don't. How does the media sometimes sleep at night? McDonald's workers roast Trump over insulting cosplay stunt at a restaurant that failed a health inspection. Donald Trump's obsession with questioning Harris's work experience at McDonald's peaked over the weekend when he worked the fry cooker at a Pennsylvania branch without a hairnet or gloves. McDonald's workers have now given their verdict on the former president's performance and came away less than impressed. Yes, this is coming from Yahoo News. This is what they deemed important to report on, as if this is the first quote-unquote political stunt in presidential history. As like J.D. Vance said, what, did they think he was going to get, his W-9 and start actually working there? Trump has basically called his Democrat opponent's summer stint at McDonald's a lie. So he decided to try his hand at the fast food chain himself. Well, basically, there is no proof that she did it. So basically is a loaded word there. This is why fact-checking is so disastrous, because they throw around terms like that when not accurate. I mean, look at J.D. Vance correcting during the debate, correcting the moderator on her fact-checking the fact-checker, if you will. I'm not going to go through all the ways they criticize this. I guess that McDonald's at one time had failed a health inspection way before Trump had got there. And yes, he didn't wear the hairnet, which is going to be kind of the end of a presidential campaign, right? When you have that picture, if he did. We'll continue. MSNBC is getting criticism because they are so angry about this campaign stop by Donald Trump. The outlet blasted the former president's lighthearted campaign appearance in the key 2024 battleground as a stunt and bizarre, while questioning his mental faculties and even critiquing his French fry salting technique, only to futilely try to battle back against thousands of online critics roasting them over the lame attack. So funny, he's a threat to our democracy. How? By handing Happy Meals, said one Twitter user. It's a stunt, says the folks who praise Kamala for going to the border 4 years too late. That's a good point. Just seeing Trump being a normal person drives the left crazy, someone else noted. Now we know all about what happened at the event. It was fun. It was lighthearted, as the New York Post put it. Other media outlets known for doing heavy lifting for the Democrats joined MSNBC in its trolling of Trump over the campaign stop, even as critics lambasted their derision as elitist and out of touch. Rolling Stones, a far-left publication that once ran a rock star-esque glamour shot on its cover of the Boston Marathon bomber, if you recall, called Trump's fast food visit bizarre. The New York Times, seemingly missing the point of the McDonald's drop-in, took Trump to task for his attire, mocking his French cuff shirt and lack of hairnet, and questioning his culinary experience, saying there's scant evidence of Mr. Trump cooking for himself. A conservative columnist, Ian Hayworth, said, I can't believe Donald Trump would stage a photo op at McDonald's for political purposes. Who would do such a thing? All while posting a mocking picture of AOC sobbing crocodile tears while clad in all white on the southern border. Donald Trump putting on a little McDonald's costume because he thinks that's what people do, the squad rep complained, meaning AOC. They're not trying to emphasize or empathize with us. They're trying to make fun of us. Other outlets accused the former president of not properly washing his hands, and Newsweek even dug up documents claiming the franchise failed its last health inspection. Trump serves fries and falsehoods at McDonald's, blared a Washington Post headline. Trump didn't work at McDonald's, he posed, said Atlantic magazine writer David Frum. Imagine having this anger over something that was supposed to just be a fun event. Brian Stetler confirmed for security reasons Trump's McDonald's visit was carefully staged ahead of time, with drive-through customers selected and screened by Secret Service, etc. I would hope so, for heaven's sakes. The man has had at least 2 attempts on his life. I don't know. Enough. We got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Want to know why it's hard to stop a train? It's how we've invented products that reinvented our world. It's how we test as hard as the elements do. It's how we run.
Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning in Corning, New York is a local, veteran-owned and operated company with over 25 years experience. From service and repair to new installations. Trust the experts at Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Football Show breaks down all things NFL. GMFB Overtime.
Check out top highlights, player interviews, special guests, and everything in between. 5 days a week.
GMFB Overtime. It's football for everyone.
The Boss Security Roof Cam. Call Boss Security today in Horseheads for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. As we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, a few comments from viewers. Bob Dylan made comments in the 60s about politicians eating bagels and eating pizza, being among the common man for votes. Yeah, this is what politicians do. It's fascinating to see the media's outlandish covering of this. Another comment from a different viewer. The Democrats are just upset they didn't think to have Kamala do it first, meaning visit a McDonald's. Yes, Brian Stetler saying, finding the time to tweet this out. For security reasons, Trump's McDonald's visit was carefully staged ahead of time, with drive-through customers selected and screened by Secret Service, etc. Stetler then posted to a photo showing drivers rehearsing ahead of the campaign stop. Now, the comments started pouring in saying, gee, wonder why Secret Service would want to screen people about to get up close to a guy who was shot in the head 2 months ago, said Billy McMorris. Or Newsbusters managing editor Curtis Houck said, yes, that's how it works for presidents and Secret Service protectees, especially when we've had 2 people nearly murder him this year. One person asking, how did CNN survive without you, Brian Stetler? But Piers Morgan actually went further, saying Trump's genius McDonald's stunt will fry Kamala at the ballot box. This is Piers Morgan, not always on the same page as Piers Morgan, but I think it's an interesting point. Even if you're flipping fries at McDonald's, Oprah Winfrey once said, if you are excellent, everybody wants to be in your line. I thought of this quote when Donald Trump turned up at the McDonald's restaurant, handing bags of food to drive-through customers. As political stunts go, this might have been the best I have ever seen, because it served 2 very powerful purposes in the presidential race. First, it reminded voters that his rival, Kamala Harris, has repeatedly boasted about having a summer job at McDonald's to make her sound more relatable to her fellow Americans, but to date, not a single person has been able to verify it. This is quite extraordinary given how specific she has been, with her campaign team stating that she worked at McDonald's on Central Avenue in 1983 after her freshman year at Howard University, working on the cash register, French fry station, and ice cream machine. But then she didn't mention it in her memoir, nor does it appear on the 1987 resume she submitted when applying for a position as the district attorney at the district attorney's office, despite her listing her other work experience. It was like it never happened at all. Even more intriguingly, the New York Times reported on Sunday, in subsequent years, Ms. Harris talked so little about her long-ago job at McDonald's that even some of her friends and close aides did not know that she had worked there. Piers Morgan saying, forgive me, but I smell the same gigantic, disingenuous rat that Trump's been smelling about Kamala's proposed McDonald's career move. And it matters because it goes right to the heart of the Democrat candidate's persistent pitch that she is the truth antidote to fork-tongued Trump. And it also paints a larger picture that Walz is dealing with, Harris is dealing with, of this fabrication of certain aspects of their life to make them more relatable or seem more important in their leadership. If you're going to position yourself as a bastion of honesty, you can't tell brazen, self-promoting, I'm middle class just like you fibs about working at McDonald's. The second reason why Trump's stunt works so effectively is because McDonald's is about the purest personification imaginable of the American free market dream. A place where everyone can afford to eat, and equally where everyone has a shot at potentially running McDonald's franchise one day. There are 13,562 McDonald's restaurants in America, a third of all the McDonald's outlets in the entire world. They're in all 50 states, spread across over 5,000 cities, and they serve 25 million people a day, which is 7.5% of the U.S. population. Staggeringly, nearly 9 out of 10 American households visited McDonald's at least once in the past year. And the number one biggest selling item on the menu is the original basic French fries. So when Donald Trump announced, "I've always wanted to work at McDonald's," as he arrived yesterday and then donned his apron to start preparing those very fries, he was tapping directly into a job that so many of his countrymen can instantly relate to. Enough on Piers Morgan, but I thought it was kind of a nice bookend to what we've been talking about. We've got other quick comments we're going to get to as we wrap up today's edition. Get your comments in. And we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, I'm Suzanne. Welcome to Pangea Global Tea House.
Pangea Global Tea House offers comfort foods of the world. Over 50 teas, a sampling of cuisine from over 10 countries. Globally inspired cuisine and striving to give you an ultimate experience. Come in and try the frankly delicious Turkey Club special for just $20, including your beverage of choice. Pangea Global Tea House. Yet a really good tea house bringing you the flavors of the world, offering something for everyone.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studios. We wrap up today's edition. Let's go through a couple quick things. CNN's guest, Angela Rye, insisted that white folks shouldn't escape accountability if Donald Trump wins the presidency next month, stressing she doesn't want to see a women's march come January if something doesn't go right. That, quote, "what I think is a mistake is to let white folks escape the accountability that they must face for not showing up to save democracy themselves. So the responsibility of saving democracy should be on the largest demographic in the country. That is white men and white women." James Carville was on MSNBC saying that we will be arrested if Trump wins. Our constitutional republic is at stake. Trump goes out and he says, "I'm going to use the military to arrest my political enemies." And then Mike Johnson, Lindsey Graham on the Wall Street Journal editorial page say, "Oh no, that's not what he meant." And then he comes back and says, "Yeah, that's exactly what I meant." Okay, that's James Carville. Actor Zachary Levi, who really put his career at risk by coming out and supporting Trump, said that closeted conservatives in Hollywood need to speak out. It's now or never. And he specifically called out Whoopi Goldberg's claims that Hollywood was a right-leaning town. Do you remember that? And that's what means is there's plenty. By the way, he said there are plenty of closeted conservatives. And they have sent me lots of messages. Plenty of people in the industry in Hollywood that are terrified to publicly say they would vote for Donald Trump or be conservative in any way. That's why they don't see them. That's why they're not very prevalent or prominent, because they know that there's ramifications for this, he said. Now, Speaker Johnson expects Democrats to object to the 2024 election count if Trump beats Harris. Democrats have now made it a tradition to object to electors, certain slates of electors, and they have done so every single time a Republican president has won in the last quarter century. They've objected for often ridiculous reasons, and I expect that many of them would object when Trump wins for no reason other than they just don't like him. And that's not the way the system works. That's, again, Speaker Mike Johnson. Rich Lowry has a piece at the New York Post this morning that we will not have a chance to get to, but it's mail-in ballots have made our election tallying a national embarrassment. And this goes into the fact that it's already been predicted that it could be days before we have the actual results. This year, ballots arriving up to a week after the election will be considered valid. A Democrat assemblyman told the AP that the state doesn't need to please a society that wants immediate gratification, as if there's something wrong with expecting reliable election results. It might seem too much to say that Elon Musk will manage to send a rocket to Mars before states figure out how to eliminate intolerable delays in the vote count. But with Musk hoping to do that a couple of years from now, it's almost certainly true. We are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. A comment from a viewer: can you imagine Kamala doing that, meaning working at the McDonald's? She'd probably have Secret Service man take her place on the fry machine. Thank you very much. So that is it. Wow, time flies. Thank you for joining us this morning. Tomorrow on the program, we'll be talking with candidate for family court in Chemung County, Brian Magg. So if you have any questions, get them in. And have a great day, everyone. And we will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 6 a.m. I look forward to it. Alrighty, have a great day.